This presentation will cover the F7 and F7A updates. The two forms are similar. There's a lot of information to cover, so this will take a while. Please be aware that all the changes made in this form are made to the database immediately. If you are an outgoing officer, we recommend that you change your position last. If you change it first and you are not listed as another officer, you will not be able to make any more changes. Only key officers can update the F7 and F7A. See the overview and access presentation for more information on who could access the forms. If you are looking at this video through YouTube, please note that you can pause it by clicking the double lines icon on your lower left. This is the top portion of the main OAM menu. Click on the F7 Update button to change the chapter and officer's information. Here is the basic screen display. We will go through each column. Before we do, let us look at the differences between the F7 and the Federation F7A. Only a few columns are different. For the next 5 screens, the Federation F7A is at the top and the chapter F7 is at the bottom. As you can see, both reports have the fields officer title, position code, and status. This is no surprise. The Federation report has a chapter column. Both reports then display the member's ID and name. The F7 has a last update column to show when the last action on that position was made. Overall, both reports are very similar. Both have update and delete buttons. The instructions button will bring up a text file with information about filling out the F7 or F7A. This will give you a roster of chapter members. This is not as detailed as the membership report off the main menu, but it will provide you with the member ID of a new officer. Rather than attempting to hide all of the personal information, only the top portion of the membership roster is being shown. It has just enough information to determine the member ID. The officers and their titles for the chapter are listed. If a position is not filled, then it will not be shown. There may be something other than active, but I have not seen it. As always, personal information is hidden. The last update field can be very useful. As you can see, this tells who updated the record. Now this is what you will be doing most often, updating and deleting officer data. Please remember that the data is updated in real time. If you are the secretary of a chapter and recent elections brought in a new president and a new secretary, then don't update your position first. Once you update the secretary position, you lose access to updating the F7. It may be easier to have the member IDs of the new officers before you start. All you need to do is to enter the new ID of the new officer. Most positions only allow one officer at a time. There are a few, such as Other, that allow for multiple positions. If you have one other officer and want to add a second, then you should not use Update. It will replace the existing officer. If you did not get the member IDs of the new officers before you began, then you could use the member search to find them. Once you enter the member ID, you will need to click the Verify button. If a position is no longer filled, or you are removing an officer from a position that allows for multiple officers, then use the Delete button. The Delete option provides a confirmation page. You can click on Cancel to stop the action or Delete to remove the officer. The Add Position button will allow you to do what it says, add a position. There is a drop-down list for you to choose a position. In this case, position code 15, Other, has been selected. Enter the member ID. Note that the Verify and Member Search buttons are the same as we discussed on a previous slide. Chapter Dues. Enter the new amount here. This is important. If a non-member searches for a chapter, they will see this information. Be sure it is available. If your chapter has a web page, you may want to direct people to that rather than repeating your meeting time. This way you only have to change one location when meetings change. With newer members using Facebook a lot, a chapter Facebook page is good if maintained. The History button gives you a history of officer changes. Don't be surprised if you only see one report. This shows changes made by chapter officers. The personal data is not shown, just the field names. The date is the date of the change. The description describes the change. The rest is described on the slide above. The abbreviation POS is for position. This shows changes made by headquarters personnel. The date is the date of the change. The chapter repeats the chapter number, and the description describes the change. The rest are described on the slide. Please remember, the reports change all the time. If you see an error or out-of-date information in this presentation, please use the NARFE website to contact your CAB representative. There is a link to a document on the OAM documentation page that explains how to contact a CAB member.